Welcome to the Queen's Lair, a lifestyle podcast. Get inspired by our latest tips and information about small business, entrepreneurship, natural hair, travel, food, and even relationships. Stay tuned for another great episode. I am your host, Renée Patrice. Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning into my podcast once again. I'm going to start this off with thank yous. I want to run through, I think I'm going to do this every other or so podcast. I just want to thank all of my listeners literally from around the world. And I think 2 more countries have joined the list, which is like blowing my mind right now. So I want to thank all of my listeners, of course, from the US. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks to the Bahamas. You guys are jumping up in numbers. If somebody from the Bahamas can DM me or email me and let me know what is the movement happening in the Bahamas, because my percentage rates are jumping up in the Bahamas. Does that mean I need to take a trip to the Bahamas to meet my people over there? What do I need to do? Somebody from the Bahamas, if you're a listener of my podcast, please DM me and let me know how you came to hear my podcast. I would love to know, but that percentage is going up and I just think that's so cool. Thanks to my folks in Mexico who are listening. Thank you so much to my folks in the UK who are listening, and also Australia. I don't think I had any listeners from Australia. I think that's happened in the last month, which is so amazing. Now, I also want to thank the different platforms of where people are listening in from. Overcast. Thank you so much for my listeners over at Overcast. Thank you so much for my listeners on Spotify, my listeners on Anchor, my listeners on Castbox, and thank you so much Apple Podcasts, all of my listeners over there. And there's another 7% of you that it doesn't, my analytics don't tell me exactly where you're listening from, but thank you to that 7%. I don't know what platform you're using, but thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate this. So I am officially being listened to in 5 different countries right now. And that just completely makes me so happy, because I work really hard on this podcast to bring you guys as much information as I can and to share my knowledge. And I get such great feedback from you guys, DMs and emails of thank yous and consultations and all this sort of stuff. So thank you so much. This is definitely something that I'm glad that I've had my podcast since 2012, but I really started to work it maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm so thankful and grateful. This week's podcast, I'm going to name this podcast, it's called Most People Don't Want the Recipe, They Only Want the Sauce. I'm going to say that again. Most people don't want the recipe, they only want the sauce. Okay, so what this means is, this is what I see all the time. I see this in comments on Instagram of different moguls and business folks that I follow. And I often see the business people that I follow, or, whoever they are, influencers and things like that, they will post some information and people will be in the comments asking question after question after question. Some of them ask questions that were answered in the post, but they didn't even read the post to see what it said. They didn't read it in its entirety, because a lot of what they're asking in the comments has been answered in the post to begin with. And I just see that we're just living in a society where people don't want to do the work. Nobody wants to go to Google anymore. That's one of my famous lines that I say all the time. Google is your friend. I say it all the time. And no matter how many times I say it, somebody will always come back with, well, if you have the information, why wouldn't you just want to tell somebody? Do you know how hard people work and how much money they spend to be able to bring information to the table, to be able to learn information? that they can share it with other people. But what ends up happening is you share it with people, but you end up sharing it sometimes with people who don't want to do any work. And anyone who knows me knows I will get on a phone call, I will do consultations, all of that sort of stuff. But if I don't see action behind it, if you're a person that constantly asks me questions, constantly wanting information, and there's no action put behind it, I am no longer going to answer any more questions. And it's not being mean, it's not being rude, it's not being, malicious or anything like that, because there are folks who just want to go to all the free events. They just want to pick your brain 24 hours a day and ask you questions and this, that, and the other, but there's no action behind it. So that's where this saying comes in. Most people don't want the recipe. They don't want the building blocks. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to put their feet down in the trenches and get their hands dirty. They don't want to do that. They just want everything packaged up nicely with a bow on top and handed to them. And that, my folks, listen, is not entrepreneurship. It really isn't. Most of the folks that I follow on social media, as far as like business moguls and things like that, they came from nothing. Very limited means. None of them have like a trust fund, baby type background or anything. They were all just regular folk with average paying jobs, or some no jobs at all, or they struggled, their family struggled, some were homeless, all this sort of stuff. They all have a story. They didn't come from, means. They had to bootstrap every single step of the way through their business for them to become a millionaire or, to be as comfortable and well off as they are right now. They didn't come from, any type of money like that. And often their parents were the type that, just felt like they should get a 9-to-5 job, and they should not be entrepreneurship because, they shouldn't pursue entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship is so unstable. And really, I learned very quickly that having a 9-to-5 job, that was unstable, because once that job says you're gone, you're gone. And you have to take whatever severance they give you. You can fight it if you want to. If you don't cash the check, you can take them to court and do whatever and fight them. But that's going to be you spending more money to go to court because you feel like you've been wrongfully terminated, or you taking the money and trying to make it stretch. And maybe you'll get unemployment. Who knows? Most people don't want the recipe. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the research. Being an entrepreneur means researching your market, the genre, whatever it is that you do, researching it. Who's your competition? And that doesn't mean that you follow what other people do, but you should know close by, who's your close by competition in your area. Maybe there's some synergies there. Maybe there's something where you can partner up. Don't just think that everything is going to be packaged up for you just nice and neat. You've got to do the work. So I follow these moguls, and in the comments, people are asking 1,000,001 questions, some of which has already been answered in the post, because they just can't see past being spoon-fed. They can't see past being bottle-fed like a baby. You have to want to do the work, and it is work. And sometimes it's disappointing. Sometimes you're not going to make a dime. Sometimes you will have people that will turn around and stab you in the back. There are so many things to being an entrepreneur. But when I tell you it is worth it, it is so worth it. Once you get on the other side and you become profitable, and you're like really out here paying your bills, paying your car note, paying your house note. You know what I mean? Like, once you really get out here and you're legit paying your bills and living your life, knowing that your business that you own is providing for you and your family. It is an amazing feeling. And when you get on the other side of working that 9 to 5, I tell you, you'll think to yourself, why didn't I do it sooner? I know that's something I grappled with for a long time. I had to let it go. I said, okay, I can't get down in the dumps about why I didn't do it sooner. I'm here now, so let's just rock with it now. And I am by no means putting down anyone that has a 9 to 5, because I overlapped with my 9 to 5 for 10 years because I was so afraid of taking that leap, so afraid of taking the chance. But once I did, I never looked back, and it's been amazing. But you have to do the work. Don't complain when somebody hands you all the ingredients for a cake and you look around. You said you wanted cake. Here's all the ingredients. You have it all laid out in front of you. Do the work. Make the cake. And in the process, figure out a signature way to make that cake and then duplicate it over and over and over and over again, like a franchise. Find a great thing that you do and duplicate it. And if it's a service, find a great service that you do and then hire some more people to work for you to do that service for more people. That way you're just doubling your money, tripling your money, quadrupling your money. Train others who are serious. And there you get even more coming in. Now you're paying off college tuition. Now you're paying off houses. No such thing as a 30-year mortgage anymore. Now you're paying off car notes. Now you're paying off student loans. Now you're buying your mother a house. We have to get out of this thinking that everything is going to be handed to us. You have to do the work. Somebody gives you the recipe for something, put action behind it, and start cooking it up. Because I guarantee you, success is going to come from that. But it takes work. Most people don't want the recipe. They only want the sauce. But don't let that be you. If you want to contact me, feel free, DM me, get in my comments, let's have conversation. Follow me on all my social medias at OnyxQueen Media. If you want to email me, info@OnyxQueen Media. Talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.